It's incredibly common to feel that rush, like your brain is just a step behind, trying to catch these individual sounds that are just not staying separate long enough to process.
Right.
That distinct word by word clarity you might find in, say, learning materials, it just isn't really there in real life conversation.
Exactly. And that feeling, that challenge of understanding fast, natural native English, that's precisely what we're diving into today.
Yep.
We've taken a really deep look at a stack of notes and articles specifically designed to tackle this, well, head on.
And our mission really is to pull out the absolute most important insights and the most effective techniques from all of these sources.
Give you a clear pathway.
Yeah, a real shortcut, if you will, to training your ears and your brain to handle that speed and that flow.
And here's the good news. Right up front, something these sources really underscore. This isn't some impossible hurdle you're facing.
Not at all.
While it absolutely feels overwhelming sometimes, breaking through that speed barrier is totally achievable.
It is. It just requires understanding why it sounds so fast and then, applying the right kind of focused practice.
Okay, so let's really unpack this feeling of being overwhelmed then.
Mhm.
You step out of the, let's say, the controlled environment of textbooks or that slow, learner-focused audio,
Right.
and suddenly everything sounds completely different. Words seem to get swallowed, sentences run into one another, and you're playing catch-up, trying to process what was just said while the conversation is already zipped, like way ahead.
And that sense of sounds blurring, it really comes down to a fundamental difference between how language is often presented to learners and how native speakers actually use it.
How so?
Well, when you're fluent and speaking naturally, you rely heavily on rhythm, you use contractions without even thinking about it, you link words together in these fluid chains,
Okay.
and you often reduce or even completely drop sounds that aren't essential for the meaning. Plus, then you've got the natural variation in speed and tone driven by emotion or emphasis.
Ah, so it's not just a matter of knowing more vocabulary or getting the grammar down pat. It's almost like there's a whole different operating system for spoken English.
That's a great way to put it, actually. It requires not just knowing the components, the words, and grammar, but being really attuned to this operating system, how it sounds, how it flows.
Right.
It demands exposure, conscious awareness of how the sounds are changing, and then, crucially, targeted practice to kind of rewire your ear and brain to process it this way.
Okay, so why specifically does it sound so fast? I mean, it can't just be that native speakers are trying to rush things, right?
No, not at all. It's simply the natural, efficient outcome of fluency. The key mechanism making things sound fast is really how words connect together.
Connect. You mean like they don't leave little pauses between each word?
Exactly. Think about how you might hear, "What are you doing?" said very slowly and carefully.
Okay, what are you doing?
Right. But in natural, fast English, that often becomes something much more like, "What you doing?" Or even just, "What you doing?"
Oh, yeah.
Or think about, "I am going to." You almost never hear it like that. It almost always reduces to, "I'm gonna," or "I'm going to."
I hear that constantly. And when you're not used to it,
Yeah.
even though you know the phrase, what are you doing, and you hear what you're doing, your brain doesn't immediately make the connection, does it? It doesn't link the squished version to the clear one.
Precisely. And these aren't just lazy forms or slang necessarily. They make conversations significantly faster and smoother. But they require your brain to recognize words not just in isolation, but in these linked, sometimes really altered forms.
The sources also point out another critical factor here, stress and intonation, where you put the emphasis changes everything, and sometimes words get less stress and sort of just disappear into the flow.
This is absolutely crucial. Crucial for conveying meaning and understanding it, especially when things are moving quickly. Remember that classic example from the material. I didn't say he stole the money.
Right.
Say it emphasizing a different word each time. I didn't say he stole the money.
Okay, meaning someone else said it.
Exactly. I didn't say he stole the money.
Maybe I implied it or wrote it down but didn't speak the word.
Precisely. I didn't say he stole the money.
Someone else stole it.
Yep. I didn't say he stole the money.
Maybe he just borrowed it or found it.
Right. Or, I didn't say he stole the money.
He stole something else entirely. Wow.
Exactly. So that single sentence has 5 totally different meanings just by shifting where the stress falls.
That's amazing. So understanding fast English isn't just about catching all the individual words.
Not at all. It's very much about catching the rhythm, the stress patterns, and how the sounds work together, how they connect to signal the actual meaning. Which brings us to something fascinating here, and arguably the most important concept for breaking down fast speech. It's called connected speech.
Okay, let's get right to the core of this then. What is the essential idea behind connected speech, and why is it such a game changer, for understanding fast English?
Okay, the core insight is basically this. In natural spoken English, words don't live in isolation. They merge, they change. Sometimes sounds even disappear right at the boundaries between them.
Right.
Your brain has to learn to recognize words in these blended forms, not just as neat, separate units like in a dictionary. It's probably the #1 reason fast speech is difficult initially. But learning to hear it, that unlocks a massive amount of understanding.
So it's not that they're speaking different words necessarily, they're just speaking the same words differently in a connected way.
Precisely. Words join together in ways that often sound quite different from how they look written down on a page. Think about, do you want to eat?
Okay.
In fast speech, that frequently becomes something like, do you want to eat? Or even, do you want to eat?
Yeah.
Or, could you help me out? Might sound more like, could you help me out?
I could definitely hear the wanna and the kuja blending right there. It's much smoother.
And notice how the sounds actually change. Sometimes sounds blend together, like the D and Y and could you making a J sound.
Right.
Sometimes sounds are dropped entirely, like the T often disappears in want to. And occasionally, new little sounds even sneak in between words, just to smooth the transition, maybe like a little Y or W sound connecting vowels.
The key takeaway here, the sources seem to say, is that this isn't bad English or just slang, although you hear it in informal speech a lot. It's just how fluent English actually sounds.
That's it, exactly. It's completely normal. It's standard. The more you deliberately listen for these connections and expose yourself to them, the more your ear will start to recognize these blended sounds as the familiar words they actually represent.
It's like learning a new dialect almost.
In a way, yeah. The fast-spoken dialect of English.
Okay, the sources really encourage jumping into some simple listening practice to start hearing this difference right away. Let's try a couple of their examples. I'll say it slowly first, like you might read it, and then more naturally, like you'd probably hear it.
Okay, good.
Just listen carefully to the contrast here.
Hmm.
Did you eat already? Slow, clear articulation.
Okay.
Now, more naturally. Did ye already? Faster.
Did you catch that? The did ye sounds much more like did you or did you. It's quicker, much more connected.
Try saying that natural version yourself. Right now, listening. Did ye already? Getting your mouth around it really does help your ears recognize it, too.
It does. It connects the hearing and speaking.
Okay, here's another one. Slow. What are you going to do now?
Got it.
Fast, natural. What you going to do now? Or maybe even what you going to do?
Wow, that one's a huge change. What are you became really short, like whatcha.
Right.
And going to, of course, became gonna. That's a classic one.
Try repeating that natural version. What you going to do now?
These simple repetitions, they might feel small, but the sources really emphasize that this direct mimicking practice, the shadowing light, is powerful. It helps calibrate your ears and your mouth to these really common, natural patterns.
And it's okay if you don't catch every single word perfectly at first when you listen right.
Absolutely. Just starting to recognize the pattern that the sounds are changing, that did you often sounds like didja, that alone gives your brain a critical head start in processing fast speech.
So once we understand why it's fast, what this connected speech thing is all about, what are the actual practical exercises and techniques the sources recommend for really training our ears and brains?
Okay, well, one technique highlighted as particularly effective, especially because it integrates listening and speaking, is something called the evening shadowing exercise.
Shadowing. Okay, what's the core power of shadowing, according to these materials? Why is it so good?
Well, the sources frame it as possibly the absolute fastest way to train both your mouth and your brain to process English at native speed. It simultaneously improves listening and speaking.
How does it do that?
It forces real-time mimicry. You're not translating in your head, you're just echoing. This bypasses that slow translation step and builds muscle memory, essentially, for fluency and rapid processing.
Okay, sold. Sounds powerful. How do you actually do it?
Right. You take a short clip, could be from a movie, a TV show, a YouTube video, anywhere native speakers are talking naturally.
Okay.
First, just listen to it once without any subtitles. Try to just grasp the main idea, the gist of it.
Get the gist. Got it.
Exactly. Then listen again, but this time with English subtitles turned on so you can see the words being spoken.
Okay.
Now, here's the crucial step. Pause the audio after each sentence, or maybe even each phrase if the sentences are long, and then immediately repeat it out loud.
Just say it back.
Yes, but try your best to copy everything. The exact words, sure, but also the tone, the speed, the emotion, the rhythm, the ups and downs. This is shadowing.
So you're basically trying to be an identical twin, sound-wise, of the speaker, an echo.
Exactly. And the sources really can't stress enough how effective this is. They make the point that when you only read English, your eyes are doing all the work.
Right.
Shadowing forces your ears and your mouth to work together intensely. It trains your whole system for that real-time processing, giving your listening comprehension the kind of workout it needs to keep up with natural speech.
That makes sense. Another simple but important technique mentioned is just consciously noticing common contractions and those informal reductions we talked about.
Absolutely critical. We mentioned I am going to becoming I'm going to.
Yep.
Instead of hearing I do not know, you'll almost always hear I don't know.
Always.
Let me help you. Very frequently becomes something like let me help you.
These feel like such small things when you see them written down, but they make a massive difference when you're trying to catch them spoken quickly, don't they?
They really, really do. And the sources offer a reassuring point here. Don't beat yourself up if you can't catch all of them right away.
Good to know.
Even native speakers sometimes mishear things. The focus should be on progress, not instant perfection. Every time you do notice one of these reductions or contractions, like kinda for kind of, your brain is getting stronger, building that recognition.
Okay. Now, for daily focused practice, there's a method they call the 1-minute rewind. Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, this one is brilliant for doing deep, focused listening without feeling completely overwhelmed by, say, a whole movie or podcast episode.
How does it work?
You choose just a 1-minute video or audio clip with native speakers. Watch it or listen to it once through without any help, subtitles off, just to get the general idea.
Okay, standard first pass, get the context.
Right. Then rewind, watch or listen again, but this time pick one specific sentence to focus on. Just one.
Ah, okay. Laser focus.
Exactly. Play that single sentence, then rewind and play it again. Listen to just that one sentence as many times as you need to really feel like you're hearing every sound, every connection, every word within it.
So you're really isolating the challenge, breaking it down.
Precisely. You might listen to that one sentence 5 times, 10 times, maybe even 20 times if it's tricky. Once you feel like, okay, I think I've got it, pause it, and then try repeating just that sentence out loud yourself.
So the principle here is slow, almost microscopic training for your ears, but on these really bite-sized pieces.
Yes, exactly. 1 minute of audio seems tiny, but doing this focus, rewind, and repetition daily builds incredible listening muscles over time. It trains your ear for the fine details and your brain for quicker recognition of those details in the flow. Consistency, they stress, is absolutely key here.
And then stepping back a bit, the sources really highlight the importance of just immersing yourself in real-world English whenever you can, getting that raw input.
Yeah, because the English you encounter out and about, in cafes, on the street, in movies, or just chatting with friends is often quite different from the more, let's say, sanitized or formal language you might find in beginner materials.
Right.
It's full of natural speed, natural rhythm, maybe some slang here and there, and definitely full of those connected, reduced forms we've been talking about.
Like hearing someone say, let me grab a bite, instead of the more formal, let me get something to eat.
Exactly. Or I'm a head out, meaning I'm going to leave. My English teacher definitely never taught me head out as a verb phrase like that.
Mine neither. But you hear it all the time.
Constantly. These are phrases used constantly in daily life. Your brain needs exposure to these real-life patterns to recognize them instantly when they pop up.
Yeah. So how do we immerse ourselves effectively, especially if we're worried about getting totally lost in the beginning?
Well, the sources suggest starting perhaps with watching shows or videos that feature real conversations. Things like interview clips, vlogs, maybe even reality TV. Start watching them first with English subtitles on. Get comfortable seeing the words as they're spoken naturally.
Got it.
Then replay scenes or maybe whole episodes without the subtitles to challenge yourself and see what you can pick up. Listening to podcasts or audiobooks while you're doing everyday chores, washing dishes, commuting, that's also excellent low-pressure exposure.
So it's about daily kind of low-stakes immersion that helps your ear slowly adapt to the natural speed and flow.
That's the idea, just letting the sounds wash over you consistently. Now, shifting gears slightly, one particularly powerful tool the sources emphasize for pinpointing exactly what you're missing is dictation practice.
Dictation. Like back in school, writing down what the teacher says word for word. What's the key insight here for language learning?
The real power of dictation in this context lies in how it forces you to confront the specific gaps in your auditory processing. It doesn't just tell you that you missed something, it immediately shows you which specific sounds or linked word combinations are causing you trouble.
Ah, okay, so it's diagnostic as much as it is practice. It shows you where the weak spots are. How does it work?
You play a very short audio clip, maybe just 1 or 2 sentences at first, especially when you're starting out.
Okay.
Listen carefully and try to write down exactly what you hear. Don't worry about getting it perfect or missing things. Just write down whatever comes to you.
What if I only get half the words or less?
That's totally fine. That's actually the point.
Sure.
Listen again, maybe 2 or 3 more times, focusing on trying to fill in the blanks in what you wrote.
Okay.
Then compare what you wrote with an accurate transcript or subtitles for that clip.
And what does that comparison reveal? What am I looking for?
It shows you precisely where your ear failed to match the sounds to the words. Was it a word boundary where things got connected? Was it a reduced sound like a T that disappeared? Was it a word you actually know but simply didn't recognize when it was spoken quickly?
Ah, I see.
It's incredibly effective for identifying your specific listening weaknesses. Plus, it's great practice for concentration, auditory memory, and especially for hearing those tiny but crucial grammatical words like to, of, and that often shrink or almost disappear in fast speech.
Let's try a quick one from the source material right now. Everyone listening, grab a mental pen and paper, or a real one. Listen and try to write down exactly what you hear. Pay attention to how the words might link together.
Ready?
Listen. I should have told you earlier.
Okay.
One more time. I should have told you earlier.
Now, think about what you wrote down. Did you hear 2 distinct words, should and have? Or did it sound more like one blended unit? Maybe something like should've or even shoulda. Most native speakers in casual speech will definitely blend should have into something much quicker like that.
Should have. Yeah. Listening again, it really does sound different than saying should have separately. Try repeating that blended form yourself now. I should have told you earlier.
Yes, exactly. That practice, saying the blended forms yourself, helps your ear recognize them instantly when you hear them from someone else. Dictation reveals these specific points of difficulty, and then practicing the corrected natural version reinforces the right pattern in your brain. That's how real English often sounds. Now, moving beyond just individual words or pairs of words, another fundamental concept these sources really highlight is something called chunking.
Chunking. My brain usually wants to break things down into the smallest pieces possible. Is this the opposite? Like grouping things together?
It is, exactly. The core idea of chunking for listening is that native speakers don't typically deliver language word by individual word. They speak in groups of words, common phrases, or chunks that carry meaning together.
Okay.
And your brain needs to learn to process these entire groups as single meaningful units, not just as a string of separate words it has to assemble.
So instead of hearing how, then are, then you, your brain should learn to hear how were you as basically one sound block.
Exactly. Or think of do you want to go? That often becomes one fast chunk. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
These aren't just random groupings. They're incredibly common, predictable patterns in speech. When your brain can recognize these chunks instantly as whole units, it completely bypasses that slow, laborious process of translating word by word. It makes your comprehension much faster and more efficient.
Feels like you're learning the melody or the rhythm of common phrases, not just the individual notes that make them up.
That's a great analogy, actually. And how do you train for this? The sources suggest focused listening, specifically to dialogue where these common chunks appear repeatedly. Listen to interviews, conversations, scenes from TV shows.
And when you hear one.
Once you identify a chunk, like kind of or sort of or going to, repeat it out loud yourself, just like with shadowing. Get used to the sound and feel of it as a single unit. The more you incorporate these chunks into your own recognition and even into your own speaking, the more automatic they become when you hear them, even in really fast speech.
Now, there's also a fascinating technique mentioned called listen and imagine. This sounds like it brings a whole different sense into the picture beyond just hearing.
It absolutely does. The powerful principle behind listen and imagine is that you can significantly boost your understanding by connecting the sounds you hear directly to mental images or experiences, effectively bypassing the need for word-by-word analysis or translation.
So instead of trying to analyze the grammar or define each word as I hear it, I should try to create a picture in my head of what's being described.
Precisely. If you hear someone say, quite quickly, we grabbed some coffee and headed downtown, don't get stuck trying to translate grabbed or figure out the verb tense of headed. Instead, just immediately picture the scene. You and maybe some friends holding coffee cups, walking or driving towards the city center.
That makes so much sense. It's like watching a movie in your head instead of just reading the script lines.
Exactly. This technique grounds the language in real experience, which is much closer to how native speakers process information naturally. They're not usually translating in their heads, they're making direct connections to ideas, images, feelings.
Right.
It allows you to grasp the overall meaning of fast speech, even if a few individual words get a bit blurry or you miss them entirely.
And practicing this would involve listening to short pieces of dialogue or descriptions and consciously trying to build that mental movie as I listen.
Yes. Short dialogues or descriptive sentences are absolutely perfect for this. Our sources actually included a little exercise to illustrate this. Everyone listening, maybe close your eyes for just a second. Listen carefully to this description of a scene and just let the image form naturally in your mind. She ran out of the house, jumped into the car, and drove off without saying a word.
Okay. Did you see it? Could you picture the person rushing out, getting in the car quickly, maybe tires screeching a little, speeding away?
You probably did. And you likely didn't have to stop and consciously process ran, then jumped, then drove off, then without saying a word, as separate dictionary items. You just pictured the whole urgent departure as one event.
Yeah, the feeling comes across instantly.
That's the power of connecting language directly to imagery and experience. It helps you catch the whole meaning, the gestalt, even when the individual parts are moving very fast. The sources suggest that even 5 minutes a day of this kind of deliberate visualization while listening can make a real difference. Now, at this point, having discussed all these techniques, it's really crucial to talk about something the sources really hammer home: mindset and patience. This definitely raises an important question about, well, how patient you need to be in this process.
Because improving your understanding of fast English, it definitely doesn't happen overnight, does it? It's not a switch you flip.
It absolutely does not happen overnight, and that's okay. It takes time, it takes consistent effort, and importantly, it requires you to be patient with yourself throughout the journey. You will miss words, you will get lost sometimes, maybe feel frustrated.
Yep.
And that is a completely normal, expected part of the process. Everyone goes through it.
So the key message here is really about perseverance. Just keep showing up for the practice, even on days when it feels hard.
That's exactly it. Every single time you listen to native English, even if you only understand bits and pieces, you are training your ears. You're exposing your brain to the real sound patterns, the rhythm, the flow. Progress is happening, even when it feels incredibly slow or invisible day to day.
The sources use a great analogy for this, right? Thinking of listening practice like building physical strength.
Yes, exactly. You don't go to the gym once and suddenly expect to lift double the weight you could before. You build strength gradually over time with consistent workouts. Listening comprehension is very similar.
So the goal isn't necessarily to catch every single word today, but maybe just to catch more words today than you did yesterday, or understand a slightly faster conversation than last week.
Precisely. Celebrate those small victories. Maybe you finally notice a connected phrase like sort of that you always missed before. Maybe you understand the main idea of a fast news report. Maybe you correctly write down a whole sentence in dictation practice. Those are real signs of progress.
And recognizing those small wins provides the motivation to keep going, right?
Absolutely. It shows you the effort is paying off, even if the final goal still feels distant. Patience and perseverance are key.
Okay, so let's look at a few more practical techniques recommended in the sources for continuing in that consistent practice. There's one that's kind of a variation on shadowing called repeat after pause. How does that one work?
Right. This is excellent for building accuracy in both your pronunciation and your perception of rhythm. You find a short video or audio clip, maybe just 30 to 60 seconds long, is plenty.
Okay.
Play the very first sentence, then immediately hit the pause button.
And then try to repeat it exactly as I just heard it. Speed, tone, everything.
Yes. Focus on mimicking the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation, the speed as closely as you possibly can. Then unpause, play the next sentence, hit pause again, and repeat that one.
So this feels like taking shadowing, which can be quite intense, and breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps with pauses in between.
It is, essentially. And it directly trains your ability to recall and reproduce those native-like sounds and rhythms accurately. And perhaps counterintuitively, the better you get at producing these sounds and rhythms, the significantly better you become at understanding them when other people make them.
The production helps the perception.
Exactly. The sources suggest even just 5 minutes a day of this repeat after pause method can really help fine-tune your ear for the nuances of spoken English. Another crucial skill that builds on just hearing the words is active listening.
Okay, what does active mean in this context? How is it different from just, hearing the sounds coming into my ears?
Active listening means you're engaging with the communication on multiple levels, not just focusing solely on the dictionary definition of the words being used. You're paying close attention to the speaker's tone of voice, the emotional cues, any changes in speed or volume they might use for emphasis.
Right.
Native speakers use these vocal features constantly to add layers of meaning, convey feelings, or highlight the most important information in what they're saying.
Like the example we talked about earlier with stressing different words and I didn't say he stole the money, completely changing the meaning. That's active listening, catching the stress.
Exactly that. Or if someone says, drawing it out, I really don't want to go, stretching out and emphasizing that word really tells you immediately that their reluctance is very strong. You can catch that intensity, that layer of meaning, even if you didn't perfectly hear every single other word in the sentence. Active listening means paying attention to these beyond the words signals, the music of the language, if you will.
So practicing this would involve maybe watching dialogues or listening to conversations and consciously trying to identify how the speakers are using their voices, the pitch, the speed, the volume to convey feelings or emphasize certain points.
Yes, precisely. Focus on the musicality, the prosody, the ups and downs, the stresses, the pauses, the speed variations. This helps you get the full intended message, even when some of the words themselves are spoken quickly or maybe aren't perfectly clear.
That makes sense. The sources also suggest leveraging your existing background knowledge as a really powerful tool for comprehension.
Yes, this is incredibly practical advice and something you can use immediately. When you choose listening material about a topic you already know something about, whether it's cooking, a specific sport you follow, a historical event you've studied, or maybe your own professional field, your brain has a massive advantage.
Why is that? How does knowing the topic help with the speed?
Because you already have a mental framework, a schema, related to that topic. You have relevant vocabulary and concepts already stored away in your memory. So your brain can anticipate the kind of language you're likely to hear, and it can use the context much more effectively to predict what might be coming next. This allows you to fill in the gaps much more easily if you happen to miss a word or a phrase in fast speech.
It's like having a mental roadmap for the conversation, right? It helps you navigate even when the directions are being given really quickly.
Exactly. It significantly builds confidence, too, because you're not starting from zero understanding. It makes the whole listening process much less taxing on your brain. Remember that stressful morning example the sources gave? So I was running late for work, spilled coffee all down my shirt, missed the bus completely, and then had to call a ride just to make it to the meeting on time.
Running late, coffee spill, missed bus, calling a ride, meeting.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely sounds like a stressful morning.
Yeah.
Got the picture.
You probably caught the main stressful meaning almost instantly, right? Because you have background knowledge about what running late feels like, what missing a bus means, the pressure of getting to a meeting. You didn't necessarily need to perfectly parse spilled coffee all down my shirt or had to call a ride to get the core message of stress and lateness.
Right, the context filled it in.
That's context-based understanding, powered by your background knowledge, working perfectly, and very strongly connected to understanding fast speech, maybe more strongly than people realize, is pronunciation practice.
Okay, this comes up again. Why does practicing speaking, practicing pronunciation help so much with listening comprehension? What's the key link there?
The fundamental insight, which the sources really emphasize, is that your ear understands sounds much more easily if your mouth is familiar with making them. When you actively practice saying the connected and reduced forms yourself, when you practice saying gonna instead of going to, wanna instead of want to, that blended should have, the quick did you, your brain builds a much stronger, more readily accessible recognition pattern for those sounds.
So you can't easily hear sounds that you aren't prepared to make yourself or that feel alien to your own mouth.
That's a good way to think about it. Your production ability primes your perception ability. So practicing saying, what do you want to eat more naturally, like what I want to eat, directly helps you recognize it instantly when a native speaker says it that way.
And practicing did you see it as maybe did you see it helps you hear it that way too.
Absolutely. And this isn't primarily about perfecting a native-like accent, although it can certainly help with that too. It's more fundamentally about training your brain to recognize the actual physical sounds of naturally spoken English in all their connected, reduced glory. It's one of the most direct routes, according to these sources, to improving your listening comprehension of real fast speech.
And a specific technique mentioned for this pronunciation listening connection is the echo method. How does that differ from shadowing or repeat after a pause?
Yes, the echo method. It's similar to shadowing, but perhaps even more immediate, more reflexive. The idea is you play a short sentence or phrase from a native speaker, and then immediately, like an echo, you try to repeat it back
Easily.
as instantly as possible, matching not just the words, but really trying to capture the speed, the rhythm, the energy, the overall feel and pace of the original utterance.
Like literally being their echo in the room. I can't believe you said that. Echo. I can't believe you said that.
Precisely, just
Yeah.
like that. This exercise helps your tongue, your mouth, and your brain get used to the physical feeling and the rapid timing of native speech patterns. The more comfortable and familiar you become with making these sounds at speed, the better you become at hearing and processing them quickly when others make them. It's a fantastic double win technique.
Yeah.
Helps speaking and listening. Now, we absolutely have to address a challenge that layers right on top of all of this difficulty with speed and connected speech, the issue of unfamiliar accents.
Oh, yeah. Because native English speakers definitely do not all sound the same. Not even close sometimes.
Absolutely not. The difference between, say, a standard American accent and a standard British accent or an Australian one is significant enough. But then, within those broad categories, regional accents can vary wildly. Think about a thick Boston accent versus a Southern California drawl, or someone from London versus someone from Glasgow in Scotland.
Right.
Your ear might get really well trained for connected speech in one accent, but then it can still struggle when confronted with a different set of sound changes or a different rhythm in a new accent.
So how on earth do you prepare your ear for this incredible global diversity of English sounds?
Well, the solution, according to the sources, is pretty straightforward, although it takes time. Deliberate, varied exposure. You have to actively seek out listening material that features a wide range of different accents.
So don't just stick to one type of speaker.
Exactly. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, find interviews, listen to songs, even just short clips you find online, featuring speakers from various English-speaking regions, the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, different parts of the US, everywhere.
And the benefit isn't just about learning to understand that one specific new accent, right? It's broader than that.
Exactly. The main benefit is that it trains your brain to become much more flexible and adaptable. It helps your brain recognize that there isn't just one single correct set of sounds or connection patterns for English words. The more varied your exposure, the better your overall ability becomes to decode English spoken by anyone, regardless of their specific origin or accent. Your brain learns the underlying patterns beneath the surface variations.
Our sources included a little example of an informal American accent, pointing out some common features. Let's listen carefully to this one. Hey, man, I'm heading out soon. You coming or nah?
Okay. Did you notice the dropped G sound at the end of headin' and comin'? That's super common in informal American English.
Yeah, heading coming.
And the very casual or nah at the end, which just means or not. Also very common in relaxed, fast conversation.
Try repeating that phrase a few times yourself, everyone listening. Try to get that rhythm and those specific sounds. Hey, man, I'm heading out soon. You coming or no?
Practice like this, consciously mimicking different accents, even in small doses like that, makes your ear much more robust and adaptable to whatever English you encounter in the real world.
The sources also offer some great practical tips for using widely available media, things like movies, TV shows, and even music for listening practice.
Yes, these are fantastic, easily accessible, authentic resources. For movies and TV shows, the first piece of advice is don't put pressure on yourself to understand every single word right away, especially at the beginning.
Okay, manage expectations.
Definitely. Start by watching with English subtitles turned on. This allows you to connect the sounds you're hearing with the words on the screen, reinforcing those connections.
So you can see the words as you hear them, helping you map sound to text.
Yes. Then, after you've watched maybe a scene or even a whole episode with the subtitles, go back and rewatch it without the subtitles. See how much more you can catch now that you have the context and you've seen the words once.
Test your understanding.
Exactly. And for more active practice while watching, use that pause button. Pause after key lines of dialogue and repeat them out loud. It's more shadowing practice, reinforcing pronunciation and rhythm. You could also keep a little notebook handy
For what?
to jot down useful phrases or expressions you hear that maybe you wouldn't find in a textbook.
Like noting that we've got to is a really common, often faster way of saying we have to or we must.
Exactly like that. These small discoveries you make from real media add up significantly over time, building both your comfort level with real spoken English and expanding your active listening vocabulary. And music. Music is an absolute gold mine for listening practice, according to the sources.
I can definitely see, the rhythm is built right in, the intonation is often exaggerated.
Yes.
And words definitely get linked together in songs all the time.
Precisely. The advice is to pick a song you genuinely like that makes practice much more enjoyable. First, just listen to it a few times without looking at the lyrics. Just get the feel, the melody, catch what words you can.
Okay.
Then find the lyrics online. Listen again while reading along with the words. See how they match up with the sounds. And finally, the fun part. Try singing along.
And lyrics very often use those natural reduced forms too, right?
Yeah.
Like going to almost always becomes gonna in pop songs.
Oh, constantly. Songs are a fantastic, engaging way to hear and internalize these common everyday speak patterns. And because music often connects with us emotionally, the language tends to stick in your memory more easily than just reading a list of words.
That's a great point. Okay, let's try to bring some of these ideas together with one more practice paragraph from the sources. This is a description of a common, real-life situation. Everyone listening, try to follow the meaning, paying attention to the flow and any connections or reductions you hear.
Ready.
Listen. We were supposed to meet at 7, but I got stuck in traffic and then couldn't find parking, so I ended up getting there almost an hour late.
Okay, that was a very typical natural way someone might quickly explain why they were late. Lots of information packed in there.
Now let's try repeating it together. If it feels too long, break it down into smaller chunks mentally or out loud. Let's try. We were supposed to meet at 7, pause slightly, but I got stuck in traffic. Pause slightly. And then couldn't find parking. Pause slightly. So I ended up getting there almost an hour late.
The more you repeat full, natural phrases and sentences like that, the more normal and manageable that speed and flow becomes to both your ear and your mouth. If the whole sentence is too much at first, absolutely break it down into smaller, meaningful chunks like we just demonstrated. Repeat each chunk until it feels comfortable. Ultimately, stepping back and looking at the big picture, the sources consistently emphasize that improving your listening comprehension isn't just about listening more hours. It's really about listening better, more intentionally.
Right, being intentional and strategic with the practice you do.
Yes. Don't just put English audio on in the background while you're doing other things and hope for the best through osmosis, although even passive listening helps a little bit. But for real progress, you need to actively engage with the sounds using some of these techniques we've discussed.
And choosing the right material is important too.
It's very important. Choose content that's maybe slightly challenging for you. You want to push yourself a bit, but not so incredibly difficult that you get completely lost and discouraged right away. Find that sweet spot and set small, achievable goals for yourself.
Like what kind of goals?
Maybe commit to doing one dictation exercise 3 times a week, or shadowing a 2-minute video clip every evening, or listening actively to one short podcast segment using the rewind method daily. Small, specific, achievable goals.
And the most crucial ingredient, the one that ties it all together, consistency.
Absolutely. That came up again and again in the sources. Think of it like filling a large bucket with water, drop by drop. Big, infrequent pours of effort are much less effective in the long run than maintaining a steady, consistent drip. Small, steady practice done almost every day is what builds real, lasting improvement over time.
And the incredible outcome that awaits if you stick with it. That payoff.
Your ears will get sharper. Your brain will get faster at processing the sounds. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll be listening to a fast native speaker in a movie, in a meeting, in a cafe, and you'll suddenly realize, hey, I'm understanding them comfortably without even really straining or thinking about it. That's the goal.
That's the dream. So let's quickly recap the powerful toolkit these sources have given us for tackling fast native English. We've really broken down the crucial concepts of connected speech and those common reduced forms.
Right. We've seen the value of listening for chunks rather than individual words, and the incredibly effective technique of shadowing mimicking native speakers.
We've explored the specific insights you can gain from dictation practice and the fundamental importance of focused repetition.
We've talked about using your imagination to grasp, meaning visually, applying active listening skills to catch tone and emphasis, building understanding through your existing background knowledge on a topic.
And deliberately getting your ear familiar with a variety of different accents.
Exactly. These aren't just abstract academic ideas, they are practical, hands-on tools you can literally start using right now, today. And they'll continue to serve you well as your listening skills advance further.
The core message really seems to be, keep going, don't give up.
That's it. Make listening to authentic English a consistent part of your daily life, not just something you do occasionally for study. Engage with it actively, using these methods. The more time you spend immersed in the actual sounds and rhythms of real conversations, the more natural and effortless understanding will eventually become.
And with consistent practice using this toolkit, you won't just understand fast native English. The sources suggest you'll actually start to really enjoy the flow and the energy of it, appreciate the nuances.
So here's your call to action, drawn directly from these sources. Take one small step today. Right after this, maybe grab your phone, find a short clip, and try repeating some of those practice phrases we used, focusing on the chunks. Or find a 1-minute video and try the rewind technique on just one sentence.
Or just commit to listening to something, anything, in authentic English for just 5 or 10 minutes daily this week, but do it actively, maybe focusing on just one thing, like connected speech or intonation. Push yourself just a little bit outside your comfort zone.
With time and with that intentionality, your ears will catch up, your brain will speed up its processing, and your confidence in understanding fast English speakers will absolutely soar.
Definitely something to look forward to.
And perhaps a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. Considering how much rich meaning is conveyed beyond just the dictionary definition of individual words through the rhythm, the stress, the way sounds connect, the emotional tone, what subtle cues might you currently be overlooking, not just in English, but maybe in other forms of communication, perhaps even in your own native language? And how could training your ear for the deep structure and flow of language potentially open up entirely new layers of understanding about the world and the people around you?